Welcome back to part 4 of Lone Star Gymnastics Staff Training Essentials. So in part 4, we're going to talk about gym safety, do's and do nots. Here's a brief overview. Gym safety, first off, it's everyone's job. We talked a little bit about that in part 1. Pit safety, trampoline safety, and individual apparatus safety. First things first, gym safety is everyone's job. If you see something wrong, say something. What things do you see in a gym that we should speak up about? Fall zones. Fall zones are where students will be falling. This could be standard areas or it could be an area where a student may accidentally fall. Fall zone should remain clear of all foreign objects. Foreign objects include bars, weights, anything hard, and people. Oftentimes, it's just people staying in the wrong spot. When walking through the gym, we need to be aware of people's fall zones so that we can make sure we're not walking through them or leading a class through them. Additionally, it's a good opportunity to point out potential hazards. So oftentimes we see a bar going and you got a bar swinging here and you got people standing behind them. Well, that's a fall zone, right? Someone comes back, they slip off, they land on a group of people, and now we have more than one person hurt. Like we say in gymnastics, there's only room for one person to get hurt if there's an accident. We don't want two people to get hurt. So as you're walking around and you see your fall zones, make sure there's no bars, no weights, nothing hard. Make sure the lines off to the side. Team guys get told stand on concrete. If you're on concrete, you're probably fine. Pit safety. First and foremost, the most important thing to know about is the pit is not designed to prevent 100% of injuries. Second is that injuries that happen inside of pits take more time and effort to handle than anywhere else in the gym. We're fortunate enough to only have had a couple pit extractions, and every single person that we've had to do a pit extraction on has turned out to be 100% okay. Basic pit safety rules: make sure the pit is fluffed and there are no foreign objects in the pit. 2, no landing on head, neck, or on your stomach. Landing on your stomach hurts. Your body's not meant to bend that way. It just hurts your back. Little kids, they do it all the time, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine." And then they start getting a little bigger, and they start really hurting themselves. As far as the pit fluff standard is at the edge of the pit level or higher. So if you're using the pit and it's really low, you are not up to the standard, and we need to make sure we're fluffing it back up. I think we have something like 60,000 foam blocks in our pit at this point. And then the last big rule we need to be aware of is one person at a time going into the pit. We need to make sure that the person's all the way out of the pit before we let the next person go. So once again, like we talked about in I think part 2, in the event of an injury, have the student stay still and call for a manager. Do not attempt to remove the student from the pit unless instructed by a manager. Now, if it's like an ankle or like a wrist, getting them out of the pit, helping them out of the pit, that's one thing. But if there's any worry about head, neck, spine, have the student stay still, right in the pit, anywhere in the pit, stop, sit down, grab a manager, let the manager lead you through the process or get what they need. Okay, so there's a huge no-no. Do not pick a child up and throw them into the pit. If a child is injured, it will be your responsibility financially and will open you up to a lawsuit. Don't do it. Just don't do it. There's no point in history where a gymnastics professional is going to look at you in a court case and say that was okay. That was an acceptable standard of practice, right? There's no acceptable standard of practice for picking a child up and throwing them anywhere, let alone into a pit. So just don't do it. Stay away from it. It's not going to make it. It may be fun. It may be cool. May be exciting, but it's not going to be fun. It's the same way like at a pool, picking a kid up and throwing them into the pool. While it's fun, does it open you and the gym up to a lawsuit? Yes, it does open you and the gym up to a lawsuit. So if you don't want to be on the wrong side of the law here, then you need to make sure you're not doing it. All right? Trampoline safety. One person at a time. Always bounce in the middle of the trampoline. Follow the instructions of the staff, and then go to a safe landing position when in trouble. You got to make sure every single student knows these basic safety rules and that they are being abided by. The only additional rule I'd say is on tumble track, make sure you're going the same direction, right? And the kids should be able to repeat these rules. In our progression system, they actually have to know the rules. And, we never condone the use of trampolines outside of our gym. Like, just don't do it. Like, don't go home and practice what we taught you here. Like, this is a gymnastics facility. This is where you're supposed to do gymnastics. We don't condone it. Don't suggest any exercise or anything for them to do at home on trampoline. Just don't do it. Just say, yeah, next week we're gonna do it here. We prefer you do all your gymnastics here. Okay, so another big no-no, just like we had in the pit. No double bouncing. There's no like crack the egg or double bouncing. It's just a no-no. Once again, if an athlete gets injured while you're doing it, you're going to be open to a lawsuit. And no expert is ever going to say that it's okay to double bounce a student. They're just not going to do it. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. The expert's never going to say it. They're going to instantly lose that case once that expert hits that stand. So 100% of skills that need to be learned will be taught without a double bounce. There is no logical reason for you to attempt to double bounce a child. They actually have a name for a leg injury that happens all the time from kids that get double bounced on trampolines. They might even be called a trampoline fracture at this point. I heard about it the other day. So just don't do it. Stay off the trampoline. And don't allow people to, if you see someone do it, say something. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It's just not. Moving 12 slides. That's it. Every child needs to learn to be able to recite the trampoline safety rules. Reviewing them in 30 seconds every time you start a class on trampoline is a great way to get their attention. Every time they get to go to the trampoline, and if it's the first thing you do every day, and you ask, "Oh yeah, someone name a rule of trampoline," someone's like, "One person at a time." Great. And someone name another one. Always follow teacher's rules or teacher's instructions. Now, it doesn't matter what order they do it, and they need to know like one by one. They just need to know all the basic rules. Always follow the same direction. It's just part of you teaching them some of the safety rules, some of the pit. You go over those basics. Don't jump on your stomach one at a time. In on your feet. It's just part of the job, and it gets them their attention. And if they know you're not going to do anything until they've gone over the safety rules, they're going to be quick. So apparatus safety. Many pieces of the apparatus in the gym can be adjusted to fit the child. However, many of them are dangerous to adjust or use without proper guidance. So at no time are students to be allowed to adjust the equipment or be allowed near the equipment while it's being adjusted. This is especially true for older P-bars. We have an older speech set of equipment, P-bars, and they stick their hand on those uprights and the upright drops. It's not going to end well. They're going to chop their hands up a little bit. So at no time are we going to have any class kids adjusting those bars or anything like that. Now, so our older competitive athletes are a different story. Oftentimes they're helping us adjust the equipment, but what we do is we have an intense supervision while they're adjusting the equipment. The difference is the class kids 1 hour a week, the team kids 21 hours a week, right? Most of the team kids know the equipment better than you will, and it's going to be that way for a very long time. And we are watching like a hawk, and the whole time they're progressing up, we're educating them on the right and wrong ways to do stuff. But the accidents that happen tend to happen with team kids when they're adjusting bars, the parallel bars. So new staff, you'll need to be trained on how to adjust each piece of equipment, as well on how to check a piece of equipment prior to using it. The last thing you want to do, basically, guys, is have a kid help adjust a bar or a bar drop on a kid, and you have to explain to the parent, hey, he wasn't where he's supposed to be, or I messed up and let a kid help. So anyway, that is the end of this video. I think we have one more left, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about gymnastics basics and some setup, and then I hope this is just a good foundation for everybody.